please hit that subscribe button. Hey everybody, better suited to win the Stanley Cup this season. If you are new to the channel, Washington Capitals, the Boston Bruins.
Locked on and he scored! And we're live.
Hey everybody, we're here for another video, and today we're going to be talking about the play-in series and comparing my picks with the great Pearlo Wisdom, who we have with us today on the channel. Really want to thank him for coming on. I've been on a few videos on his channel. Now he's making his debut on mine, so thank you so much for being here. Really glad to have you.
I love coming on, John. This is fantastic. It's been great having you on mine, and I thought, what the heck, this will be fun. Talking about legend. I love your stuff. I'm getting very busy, and there's very choosy people that I watch, but I always try to make sure to catch whatever I can of your work. It's going to be lots of fun getting into this.
Oh, yeah. Thank you very much. Appreciate that, guys. Pearlo has a great channel. You definitely want to check that out. It'll be linked in the description, as always, with all my guests. Today, we're going to look at the play-in series, and I just want to look at my picks compared to your picks and just talk about the different series and see which ones we have the same, which ones we differ on. And I think no matter what, it's going to be a really, really fun round of hockey here starting up in August. So first one to talk about that I want to start with, I definitely were the same on this one, is Pittsburgh and Montreal. I absolutely have Pittsburgh in this series. I actually don't really understand where all the Montreal picks are coming from or why they're being picked so much. But who do you have? And just talk about that series a little bit.
There are people picking Montreal.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay. What to say? The only way Montreal winning is Carey Price turns into what Carey Price was or can be, I suppose. Still, he'd have to stop pucks like just stupid.
Yeah,
like Dominic Hasek style.
Yeah, that's the argument that for the Canadians people is that Price is just going to win the series for them. But
no.
I'm with you on that.
Defense is bad. It was news that Carl Alsner wasn't going to show up. If that is news for your defense, you are not winning in the Stanley Cup with play-ins. Montreal Canadiens are the exact reason why this is called the play-in round, because they are not in the playoffs. Nor should they be. I would much rather LA Kings or somebody else be in.
This is not at all a playoff caliber team.
No, I could go down the reasons if people wanted to, but I think pretty much everybody besides these, whoever these are, Montreal people, obvious diehard Montreal fans that are holding on to every ounce of hope, I guess.
Yeah, 100%.
I'll be absolutely flabbergasted and light in the wallet if Montreal wins this. So, yeah, that's all I got to say about that. The only chance is maybe Murray or Jari. Anything that could always happen, I suppose, if both goaltenders are so crappy. But even that, I think Pittsburgh could still outscore them. So
and I think people are underestimating Pittsburgh. I think with Gensel back in a healthy lineup, that Pittsburgh team is one of the best teams in the East.
Yeah, talking about empty wallets, I've undervalued Crosby enough in my past to not undervalue him ever again. Yep. In fact, I just did another video with a very smart hockey writer, Delhi, Anthony Shirelli, who's picking Pittsburgh to win the cup. So, I definitely can't. No. Whoever you are, another planet, you need to come back.
All right, so next one, the 6 versus 11 matchup in the East. We've got Carolina and the New York Rangers, and I think the Rangers are actually being picked more than Carolina, at least from what I've seen, even though they're the lower seed in this matchup. And I've jumped on the bandwagon. I'm going with the Rangers. Who do you have in that series and why?
I do have the Rangers, and it's purely goaltending. I just don't trust Mrazek or Reimer to be able to put up good enough goaltending against a guy like Zibanejad, who scored like 22 goals in the last 23 games of the season.
Yep.
Now, you and I both know that this can all change now with this layoff and stuff like that. But it's what we got. What we got is what we got. And the Rangers might have been the best team in the league heading into the layoff. So that's pretty much why. I actually like Carolina's lineup. I like Rod Brind'Amour as a coach.
Mm-hmm.
I also like Quinn as a coach. Rangers defense does concern me, but Shesterkin,
Yeah.
I can't get that kid out of my head. Closest thing I've seen to a young Dominic Hasek, and I'm not saying that's what he is, but his style and everything,
Mm-hmm.
maybe not so wild as Hasek, but the guy's stopping pucks like nobody's business. And I personally just don't see it changing.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's going to be, I think, one of the closest series that we have in this play-in round. And Carolina does have a very good team, but watching Panarin and Zibanejad and Shesterkin in goal in this Rangers team this year, especially the second half of the season, I can't not pick the Rangers with the way that they were playing.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Yeah. I like Carolina's offense depth, but getting Trocheck and stuff. But there's still a gelling time. It seemed to me that Carolina was still working on the gel of having Trocheck in there.
Yeah.
And there was a transition, and they never really got a chance to totally. And now there's been a layoff where the Rangers were gelling amazingly and playing extremely well. Yeah, Lemieux is out for 2 games. That's in the preseason or something.
He's
like
out
that.
for the first 2 games, but
first 2 games. So, I mean, that does have a factor. I do really think Lemieux is a good playoff performer, but as it goes, I think the Shesterkin will be the X factor in that series.
Yep. All right. So the next matchup, the 7 versus 10 matchup, we have the New York Islanders and the Florida Panthers. The ultimate test of defense versus offense. Islanders, one of the better defensive teams, but struggled to score this year. Panthers, the complete opposite. They racked up the goals, but they couldn't keep a puck out of their own net to save their lives. I've got the Islanders in this one. I think it will be close, but I think in playoff hockey, defense wins. And I'm going with the Isles. Who do you have?
We're on the same page there for the same reasons. Florida's defense in goaltending and defense is just not up to par. Bobrovsky, whether it be his fault, so to speak, he didn't really adapt well to a poor defensive team compared to what he had in Columbus, right?
Yep.
And I haven't seen any indication that that's going to change as of now. And until I do, I don't put much stock into Florida. In fact, there's not too many teams that Florida could have been playing against that I would have picked Florida. So I'm sticking with the Islanders. Barry Trotz's system. The Islanders played poor going down the stretch. However, I think that was to do with a lot of players that weren't used to playing an 82-game schedule, maybe getting more minutes than they're supposed to. I think they need to do something with that roster in the offseason, but that's for another day. But as far as having fresh legs now and using Barry Trotz's system, the way, he's one of the greatest coaches of our generation. And Quinn, I mean, has a good resume as well. I just don't think he has anywhere near enough to work with to beat the Islanders' goaltending and defensive system for sure. I agree. Yeah. I think maybe it could go 5. Maybe the thing about Florida is they don't need to shoot much to score. That's the thing that kind of always concerns me with teams like that because, getting the bounces and all that. Yeah. Those guys, they do not need to shoot much to score. They've got good high percentage shooters like Hoffman and Vetrano that can score from all through their lineup. Connolly is a high percentage shooter, so that kind of concerns me. But I think the Islanders will win out.
Yeah, the only way I can see Florida taking this series is if Bobrovsky really gets his game back on track and turns into the Vezina Trophy winning Bobrovsky. But I haven't seen anything this year that makes me think that that's going to happen. That defense in front of him is not good.
I totally agree.
All right, and the final Eastern Conference Series 8 versus 9 matchup. I know this is one that we disagree on. Toronto versus Columbus. I have Toronto winning this series. I know you're picking Columbus. Just talk about why you think the Blue Jackets come out and knock out the Maple Leafs.
This is a systems versus systems pick to me.
Mm-hmm.
The Columbus Blue Jackets system by Tortorella is one that can frustrate teams like Toronto so easily. Their whole purpose is to slow down the game, chop up the flow, make it so it's boring to watch. Just reminds me of the New Jersey Devils back in the day when they would just continually keep on winning and dragging people down when you were allowed to clutch and grab and all that kind of stuff like that. They play the same kind of style, although that's not really Tortorella's system. He just works with whatever he's got, and with what he's got, that's what he does. With Toronto being so soft, I Muzzin and Riley, okay. And then what? I'm Barry. Is he going to get back to what he was in Colorado? I don't see it. CC shouldn't even be really on an NHL roster the way he's been playing. The defense is so bad. If people said, well, Anderson had a bad year, I don't agree. What goaltender is going to have a good year? Put Bobrovsky in that behind that defense and see what his numbers would have been.
Yeah, it'd be pretty bad.
What we talked about Florida and them having a bad defense, I even say more with Toronto. And then the overall softness of the team. They have to play a down low system against a Columbus team that's big, plays hard, plays perfect structurally, and we'll get that puck out of with Seth Jones being back and Werenski. Murray hopefully doesn't trip over a toenail or something. His injury problems, Savard as well, and then New Tavares. They got a solid defense there. They get the puck out of the zone really quick. That I think Toronto's going to really struggle with. I actually have Columbus winning, and I don't think it's going to be close. And
wow.
I'm getting a lot of heat from that, but I'm putting my money where my mouth is because I've already put money on Columbus to win that series. So.
Oh, there we go. I can't imagine. What a disaster for Toronto if they don't win this series. Like with all that money spent, with all of those star players, for them to lose in the play-in round would just be an absolute disaster for the Maple Leafs.
It would certainly turn some heads.
No, for sure. That would not be good. But I mean, I definitely think it's going to be a close series. Columbus is going to give them all they can handle. I worry about Columbus's ability to score a little bit. They had a rough year offensively. Some of that was certainly injuries. They had a lot of guys miss significant time with injuries, and they should be back healthy now at this point, or fairly healthy. But I gotta stick with Toronto on that one. I think it's going to be really close, but I just can't see this Toronto team losing in the play-in round. Like, what an absolute disaster that would be.
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of people are picking Toronto on here, is that it would be an absolute disaster. It's hard to wrap a person's head around it. My buddy and B-Pal, that Brian, he's picking Toronto, and that concerns me because he's one hell of a handicapper. So I kind of made me step back a bit before I put my money on it. But after a lot of thought, I went back to my original instinct, and I'm sticking with Columbus. I can understand Matthews. I mean, that guy can almost win a series himself with that shot. So there's risk involved. I'm not giving Columbus a high percentage necessarily. But if they do win early, I just have a feeling this Toronto team's not going to know how to turn things around in system-wise to be able to counteract it. And that's what I'm going on.
Okay. All right, so moving over now to the Western Conference. We've got the 12-5 matchup. We have the 5-seed Oilers and the 12-seed Blackhawks. This is one that, again, like the Montreal-Pittsburgh series, there's a lot of people going with the lower seed here, and I don't fully understand why. I'm definitely going with the Oilers. I just think they're a much better team at this point than the Chicago Blackhawks are.
I don't know why you go with Chicago. I like Colleton. I like a lot of things about Chicago, and I don't think that their rebuild is good. They're going to quickly rebuild here. I love Doc. I love him. I think he's going to be fantastic. Kubalik looks like he's going to be a great player. That defense just sticks right out at me like, And then I heard Crawford might not even be playing, but even if he is, what is Taves at 32-year-old Taves and Strome going to do against Draisaitl and McDavid? They're too slow up the middle to have anything against those two guys. You've got defensemen like Bear and stuff passing the puck up to those two. They're going to beat them to the puck most of the time. Koskinen has a really bad series, or they're silly enough to start Smith. I hope, please, Tippett, I love you. Loyalty, throw it out the window here. Koskinen's been the better goaltender. But by the way, I'm from Edmonton, so but that's not a homer play at all. I just can't see anything in that roster that Chicago is going to be able to. Kane has scored well against Edmonton. I'm sure he's probably going to cause them some difficulties. But overall, I just can't see where Chicago is going to be able to do enough, especially with that defense, to win a series like that.
Yeah, the big thing that jumps out to me is I just don't see any way that Chicago can stop Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. Their defense is not good, and I can't see them shutting down those two players. And if Draisaitl and McDavid are scoring, Edmonton's going to win.
Yes. Yeah. And what's the odds that they won't be?
Yeah.
Not very good. Yeah, exactly.
All right. So the 6-11 matchup, Nashville and Arizona. This is another interesting series. Nashville had a pretty disappointing year, at least for their standards. They were not the team, especially, right kind of in that middle stretch of the season. They were out of the playoff spot pretty handily, and they started to work their way back up towards the end of the season. But it was a kind of a rough year for Nashville. And then you've got Arizona, who was really good early in the season. Then Darcy Kemper got hurt, and their whole season went downhill when Kemper got injured and missed a large chunk of the year. He's back now, which I think could play a huge role in this series for Arizona, is having Kemper back in net. I'm still going with Nashville. They're the more experienced team. They're a team that's consistently in the playoffs, and they have, I think, the more talented roster. It's just they did not perform up to that level this year. But I'm going to go with the Preds in this one. Who do you have and why?
I have Arizona, but it's not by a large margin. For all the reasons that you mentioned, and the main reason being the main reason you mentioned, Darcy Kemper's a beast. And we talk about goaltenders that seem to be able to come back from a long layoff and never skip a beat. Darcy's one of those guys. If he wouldn't have got injured, he probably wins the Vezina this year. And so Saros was playing well later on in the year. He was starting to show some signs of being what everybody expects Saros to be. And that way, I agree with you, roster-wise, man-for-man, forwards especially. I think Nashville's got the better team on paper. That being said, Phil Kessel came out and said this is the most banged up that he's been in his career. Now, maybe you want to get in shape, Phil.
Might be a good idea.
Yeah, but the fact of the matter is, and this is a weird flex, okay, weird lean. The kids like to say weird flex. This is a weird lean. Phil Kessel, nobody is more used to playing from being pretty much cold than Phil Kessel. And he's going to be healed up all of these wounds he said that he was banged up on. And I just have a feeling he could take this series. If he's playing, Phil Kessel is out of shape, but he's been able to play out of shape his whole career, put up 40-goal seasons. He's only 32. You give him one series to kill himself with, he may. I just think he may be the X factor in this series. as far as Carl Soderbergh is a very underrated center, two-way center that's been playing in the league for quite a while. People haven't paid attention to. He's going to be rested and ready to go. They're bigger. I like Arizona's system a little better than Nashville's. Not really sure what Nashville's is yet. Hines didn't get a chance to set that system really in there yet, and that's also what concerns me. So, with all of this situation going on now that has with COVID and all that, sometimes I can't look at rosters as much as I look at the energy going into a series. And I have a feeling, and another guy is Taylor Hall. Taylor Hall, when he doesn't have a boo-boo, is one of the best left wingers in the game. And he should be coming in without stubbing a toe or nothing. So I think for at least one series, that lineup could take Nashville. But again, I've heard a lot of really smart hockey guys picking Nashville, given really good reasons for it. And I'm not putting money on this, is what I'm saying. It's just, it could go either way. But if you twist my arm, I'm going to go with Kemper and Arizona on this one.
Okay, yeah, I think this again is going to be one of the much closer series, and it really could go either way for sure. Both of these teams have a real shot. Next matchup is this 7-11 with or 7-10 with Vancouver and Minnesota. And this is another one that is interesting. We've got a very young team with Vancouver, but when they're fully healthy, they are loaded on paper, particularly in their top six. With Pettersson, Besser, Horvat, JT Miller having a monster year this year. Obviously, Quinn Hughes on the back end, unbelievable rookie season. Markstrom healthy and back in goal, coming off probably his best NHL season of his career. And then you've got Minnesota, Kevin Fiala, who they traded for from Nashville last year. He came in, had a monster year this year, had a breakout season. Zach Parise actually had a pretty good year. Surprising, he hasn't done a whole lot since going to Minnesota, but he led the team in goals this season. Still have Ryan Suter on the back end. Pretty good defense core. Matt Dumbo, Jared Spurgeon, Jonas Brodin. Solid top four there. Dubnyk had a rough year in net. Stalock actually was the better goaltender this year. But with such a long layoff, that may not matter, and they may come back fresh and rested. I've got Vancouver in this one. I just think the young guns are ready to go, and that they're so talented, and just I think they're going to come out and they're going to find a way to score enough goals to win this series. Who do you have and why?
I'm surprising a lot of people here, and it's not easy because for the reasons you're saying. Markstrom being back has me concerned. I just can't get that Minnesota team out of my head that after Evason took over. That team was playing out of their heads. Yep. And then you put in there that Eric Stahl is going to be fresh. Eric Stahl's a number one center for 10 games. After that, he's not anymore. He's just that age now where it starts to wear on him, and he can't do it for a whole 82-game season. I think Mikko Koivu will come out and have a lot of energy for pretty much almost at the end of his career. He may not get another chance here to be able to perform in the playoffs. And I just love Dean Evason's the energy Dean Evason had in this team. And I do agree that he's going to go with Stalock. And I think I'm going to be sometimes you just got to be real honest with yourself. I think this might be an ego pick because I've been calling for Stalock to be a late bloomer number one his whole career. And so I think I just want to be right about that. Maybe that might be it. But really, I love their team. If Vancouver was playing almost any other team in the West, except for maybe, out of these playing teams, I think I would take Vancouver. But I had before I went in, I was saying I don't want to play Minnesota if I'm anybody out there the way these guys are flying. I love the way they were playing. I love the energy they were playing at. I love the way Dean Evason had them playing a simple type system for a playoff system and was building from it. I just have a feeling that they're going to come out too fast for this Vancouver team and put them back on their heels. I think it's the last time you're going to see Vancouver lose like this. I think Vancouver is a Stanley Cup contender. He probably as close as next year with Besser and all these guys. What was going on with the Besser rumors that Besser's going to get traded? What the heck?
I don't know where those came from.
He's not getting traded.
I don't think so either.
So they can sign to Foley? The hell is that? Anyways, it's the last time that they'll be taken aback like this if they happen to lose. I haven't pulled out my wallet yet on this series, though. So just wait about that. But that's my pick right now. I'm sticking with it. And I totally understand all the Vancouver supporters completely. I certainly can't. I wouldn't put up too much of an argument except for what I give.
Yep. Yeah. No, and you're 100% right about Minnesota playing so much better under Gene Evison than they were in the first part of the season. They looked like a totally different team and played significantly better down the stretch. So again, I think it's going to be a pretty close series for sure, and either team could certainly take it. So final series here, Western Conference, 8 versus 9 matchup, Calgary and Winnipeg. This is another one that we differ on. I'm taking the Flames in this one mostly out of just desperation. Like, Calgary has got to win a playoff series at some point. They lose in the first round time and time again. This core has not been able to put any sort of deep run together. And I just think they're going to be desperate to win something with this core, because if this team doesn't go anywhere in the playoffs, I think we're going to see major changes in Calgary this offseason.
I totally agree with you about the fact that you're going to see major changes in the offseason if they lose. No doubt about that. And I from what I'm gathering here, and from what I'm gathering is you think that they know that, and because of that, they're going to have a fire burning out underneath them to make it so that's not the case. And I get that. The thing is, I don't think Calgary's got it in them. I'm not so sure Goudreau is completely bought into Calgary being his home forever, and that's just a gut feeling. It's a gut feeling from what I've seen and what could make sense. He's a Jersey boy. There's a lot of talk of him going back to that area after this contract to begin with. Now I look at myself, I'm Goudreau, okay? You've got Neil in there. Whatever, I don't know what the issues with Neil there was. He seems to have had a problem everywhere he's gone, right?
Yeah.
So why would it be any different in Calgary? But Goudreau's going, do I want to stay in Calgary? Do I want to live here? Not that there's anything wrong with Calgary. He's just not a Canadian boy, and he's got a hometown. He's contemplating this. So he's watching what the team does, and the Flames go out and trade Neil and bring back a lug like Lucic. And it seems to me that just took the wind out of everybody's sails there in Calgary. And I understand it because Lucic was here. And I love Lucic when he was in Boston. But let's face it, from what I've seen, the guy ain't the sharpest knife in the drawer, okay? And when he had the speed to hold up that body that he seems to like to keep on having, even though it's not beneficial for him, it was okay. And now it's just not. And he just looks horrible out there. It takes the wind out of a team's sails a lot to watch a guy making $6 million a year walk around acting like everything is okay. And it's certainly not. And honestly, that's not the only reason why I'm taking Winnipeg here. Hellebuyck, to me, is insane. I get Winnipeg's defense on paper is not good. No doubt about it. I like Winnipeg's offense depth over Calgary's by a long shot, though. And I like the overall energy going in better than Calgary's for the reasons I suggested. One thing I will say, Jeff Ward, I really do like what he did with this team when he took over. It looked like a lot better team when Jeff Ward took over in there. And so maybe he can get them on the right page to be able to move in the right direction. Forget about the fact that we got a lug. We'll throw him on the fourth line. Hopefully he gives him like 5 minutes a night and lets everybody else play.
Yep.
Maybe they got a chance. And maybe if they do that, they can say, hey, we can hold on to this coach who gets it. He gets it. He's willing to do what we need to win this game. Putting that lug on for 10 minutes a night is not it. And so that may do it. That may do it. But until I see it, I'm taking Winnipeg right now.
All right.
And I'm getting a little concerned because I watch your show and your hockey knowledge is fantastic. So I'm getting more and more concerned that we're opposite on all these. I might have to go dive into my thinking again. But
no, I think it's fine. I think these matchups are going to be very difficult to predict, and I really think there's no. Every team going into it has a shot, and they're all, I could see arguments for most of these teams winning for sure. And it's very hard to try and predict hockey because you don't know how these teams are going to come out. Even in a normal year, never mind now where we've just had 4.5 months off, we have no idea which teams are going to show up and which ones are going to fall flat on their faces. So I think that makes this year even harder to predict than a normal year for sure.
Yeah. Except for Chicago, Montreal.
We definitely agree on that one, or on those two for sure. But that's going to do it for our time here today. Obviously, we agreed on some, we disagreed on some. I think that's fantastic. It just shows how many of these series could go either way and how close they're going to be. But I really, really appreciate you coming on. So thank you again for that. And remember, guys, to check out Pearlo's channel. Link will be in the description down below. And with that, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description. If you'd like to further support the channel, donation link, Patreon, and merchandise store in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.